Elvis really enjoys Memphis, coming to Graceland here. After all, he spent quite a few of his younger days here, you know, and it's more like home to him than any other place, I guess. And he has quite a few friends here. He likes to visit and see, you know, and talk to about different things, the changes being made in Memphis and what have you. We first moved to Graceland, it was quite different than what it is now. There was no fences here, and very few houses. None of this here was out there, and across the street has been built since. So it's just kind of closed us into the city here. Just a couple of months ago, they renamed this highway out here in the name of Elvis Presley Boulevard, which was real good, you know, very great.
How many records did he sell? Started out.
Oh, he has 56 singles that sold over 1 million copies, 56 gold records now, and 16 albums that sold over 1 million copies. Well, 18 albums with the two over here. 56 singles and 18 albums, gold records.
And what was it like for Elvis in those first days? He was kind of different from the rest of the guys, wasn't he?
Well, in some ways, some of the clothes he wore was different. The way he wore his hair was quite different than what there was back then, you know. And he was criticized quite often about it, but it really didn't bother him. He didn't change it. He went on like he was anyway.
What was that story you told me about, you know, when you first decided to go into show business? Did you have any inkling of...
No, he called me into his room one day there. I believe it was shortly after he got out of high school. And he said, I want to be an entertainer. And I said, well, you know, I don't know much about that sort of thing, but you deal with quite a few people in the business. I said, why don't you talk to some of them and see what you got to do to get into it, you know. At that time, he was more interested in the gospel singing, the quartet singing, you know. So he tried for 2 or 3 different of the young groups to get in with them, and they was either full or they didn't think he could sing good enough or something. I don't know what happened. Then after he made this record, quite a few of the quartet groups wanted him then, and so he talked to me about it again, you know. He said, what would you do? He said, I can get into the quartet singing now in the gospel field. And of course my reaction was I wouldn't do it. I'd just keep what I got because you tried that before and they wouldn't take you in. I said, I'd just stick to what I got. So he did, you know, to keep the people back. Otherwise, he couldn't perform. He couldn't put on a show. They'd rush the stage before he got through. And one place he told me about where he was appearing, he sung part of one song and had to leave the stage and didn't go back because they tore the stage all to pieces.
What is the thing he likes to do?
Well, I think the main thing that he really wants to do when he's on stage is to please the audience, you know. If he don't feel that he has, he gets kind of upset about it. I think that's his main ambition in life is when he's, on stage is to please his audience, you know, make them happy.
What's he like before he goes on stage?
Well, he does a number of songs that I like very much. I think that trilogy, American trilogy, that he's been doing on tour is one of the greatest things that he's done, you know, really. It seems to hit me more than anything he's done recently.
He's kind of unusual as a performer, too, because he doesn't mind.
We call this the trophy room, where we keep all of Elvis's plaques, trophies, awards, what have you. Citations that he has gotten through the years. For instance, here on this wall we have gold records, 56 singles, and 18 albums that sold over 1 million copies.
It was sort of like the thing at school that Elvis was sort of the singer in high school. When you thought of variety shows, you would say, well, I'm sure Elvis is going to be there with his guitar singing because he did have that talent, and he had that ability to get up in front of a crowd and entertain at that time.
What kind of sounds were you hearing in those days? What kind of people?
Well, the music that we were hearing in those days were the contemporary sounds of Tony Bennett and Frankie Lane and the Crew Cuts, and the country and western things were things like Hank Snow's Moving On, and Eddie Arnold's.
What kind of person was he? How did he look?
Well, even in high school, Elvis, he looked like a star because I guess he was a star. We just really didn't know that Elvis was a star at that time. He was different. His hair was long. He was setting a trend, but we didn't know what, he was setting a trend. He wore what you would call, I guess, Showtime clothes to high school, and he would wear loud sport coats and loud pants and flashy shirts, and I guess a lot of kids really didn't understand what Elvis was doing, but I guess later on we found out that he was going in that direction of an entertainer, which he did go into. But I guess he was a star then, and we just didn't know it.